Hi drummers, hope you're well. Right, shout out to channel member Nick. This is how to play the drum beat from Mary Jane's Last Dance by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Original drummer was Stan Lynch. Lovely swinging groove, goes a bit like this.
Mama who never was around, but she grew up tall and she grew up right with them Indiana boys on an Indiana night. Where she moved down here,
and so on. I'll play the whole song through shortly, but just wanted to take a second to think about the groove here because Nick's working on it, and it's a really interesting chance to think about when you've got a straight eighths feel, like essentially a basic rock pop type of feel, but with a swinging 16th note undercurrent. And I think it's a really gorgeous bit of playing, actually, really lovely drum part by, like I say, Stan Lynch. So when we talk about 16th note swing in this context, by the way, I should say I've got videos about what straight and what swung is. I often think that there's two words in drumming that get widely and wildly misused all over the place. One is the word triplet, which I talked about recently, and the second one is the word swung or swing when describing a rhythm, as opposed to the style of music called swing music. But the idea of swinging when you're playing, widely sort of misused and just bandied about all over the place. It actually does mean something quite specific. It means every other note is played later than even. So with your 16th notes, I've got a video about this, by the way, which I'll link to below as well, but just briefly, on your 16th notes here, regular 16th notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So they're the notes with two lines joining them together, right, when you see them on a page. When you play with a swinging 16th note feel, the E and the well, they're lazy. They're played later than normal. Gives you a kind of sassy, swaggering, lazy, lolloping feel, whatever word you want to use, whatever combination, but it's that distinct 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So basically they're shuffled or they're swung, right? The eighth notes, however, for example, like the eighth notes are playing on the hi-hat, and when there are eighth notes on the bass drum, they are played straight, they're played even. So we're not playing an eighth note shuffle here, they're straight eighths, but swinging 16ths, and it's a lovely, lovely feel. So straight eighths on the hi-hat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and at least the basic version is. But whenever a 16th comes in, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Right, let's have a little look. So like I say, eighth notes on the hi-hat and the snare drum on 2 and 4. So a classic sort of pop straight eighths feel at its heart. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now, it changes a little bit as the song goes along, but I would say that this particular bar is the bar that happens way more often than any others and is kind of like home base. There's variations that he plays here and there around it, but I'd say this is kind of home base. Let's start adding in some more details. Now, one of the things you'll notice straight away is it's got ba-bom-bom on the bass drum. Not every single time, but more often than not. Ba-bom-bom. So let's add that in now. This is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now that idea of going ba-bom on your bass drum, frankly, between the what with the first of the notes between the hi-hats, the eighth notes on the hi-hat, and the second one in sync with the hi-hat, comes in at the grade 3 level. So like in an old Trinity Rock and Pop, you had Creep, didn't you, for grade 3. In the new one, you've got Don't Want to Fight, slightly different thing, but same basic physical skill of dropping those 2 quick kicks. So I would say this puts this around the grade 3, or maybe a little bit higher, like 3, 4, 5, I would say, because you've also got the swinging element. It is quite a reasonable speed to play that at, though probably not faster than Creep, to be honest, but not wildly anyway. But it has got that sort of swinging element. You've got to leave that first one of the 3 as late as you dare. So if you played it not swung, you'd go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Like I said, like Radiohead Creep, but here you're really swinging it. You're getting how the first one, the because it's either an E or an which are played later for swinging 16th, you really leave it as late as you dare. who described it as, one of the greats described it as flirting with the time, right? When you just leave it to the last second, bum, bum, before it drops. Like, am I going to actually play it? Yeah, I am. Bum, bum, and it gives it that swing, right? So that's a good place to start. Quick recap of the same thing played straight and with the 16th note swing here, because people often miss this if they're starting out on the drums or near the beginning. I'll play it straight. Now I'll play it with the swung feel. You're getting that, you're leaving that first one, aren't you? Bum, bum, 1 and 2 and a 3 and to just before the next beat comes in. Very cool. Okay, that may or may not be cool with you. Like I say, this skill begins at grade 3. This idea of putting one of the bass drums between the hi-hats and one with the hi-hat. If you're not there yet, that's cool. Or you've got to go slow. If you're not there yet, that's completely fine. But you've got to go slow and start building this physical skill. I think often what happens is people sometimes, and I can relate to this because I totally did this a lot of years ago. Often we bring to it an expectation that will just happen in some way. And an extension of that is like that there's something wrong if it doesn't happen straight away. Like there's a reason this is at grade 3. You'd expect to have a couple of solid years or so of practicing and bass drum practice sort of under your belt, behind you at this point. For that, let's have a look at the end of the bar. Now at the end of the bar, it goes 40 and ta ta ta. If you played this straight, it would go. So you've got 40 and. You're adding in one extra hit than you would normally do, aren't you? That one that's on the E of beat 4. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 40 and. Da, 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 ta, ta, ta. But we're swinging it. So remember that the 16th note undercurrent running through is 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. Like a swung or shuffled 16ths. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. In other words, the E of 4 E and, well, it's phrased like that. It's now shifted more towards the and. It's closer to the and than it was to the 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and. One time I'll move between straight and swung with both the bass drum and that little hi-hat moment. Here it is straight. Here it is swung. Immediately a different vibe, isn't it? And I remember being really near the start of playing the drums and playing some grooves that had like offbeat 16ths, like E's and U's in there. And I remember this was before it even came up in like a lesson that I had already in a book or whatever. But I remember thinking, it's funny how there's two different ways to play the same thing. And I remember I couldn't put my finger on it at that point, like what it was, but I was aware that there was like a kind of more straightforward way, and then there was like a more funky, groovy way. I couldn't tell it was straight or swung at that point. I remember thinking, it's kind of interesting that you can play this, and I thought it was like just wrong. I thought swinging it was just wrong at that point. I guess when you're starting off, you don't really swing anything at first. So I just thought it was wrong, and I realized later, that's a thing. That's like a musical choice that somebody would make. Or it's not wrong. It's absolutely right. It's just when the music suits it, you swing. Cool, so that's that. Now you'll also notice there's some open hi-hats going on. There's one on beat 1, which is quite cool. So you open the hi-hat on 1, you strike it while you open it, and you hit the bass drum for the single note on beat 1. So let's add in that now. This makes me think a little bit of, if it was played straight and faster, Walk This Way by Aerosmith, right? So we're going to add the open hi-hat in now. Play that real slow and start building it up. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you probably notice there's one other hi-hat in here, which is on the and of beat 3. So it sets the snare drum up on beat 4. Just to be super clear, people often ask this, you do still hit the hi-hat with the stick on every single 8th note, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it's just that you're lifting it up where the O is on the music, you're lifting it up while you strike it, and then you close it on the next 8th note. So you have to lift it on the and of beat 4, and of beat 3, and it closes on beat 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and. That's a lot of stuff, right? So let's take it one step at a time. We started by just playing the hands, straight 8ths. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We then added the bass drum in the second half of the bar, which is as in the last 16th note, the last offbeat 16th note of beat 2, and then 3 and 2 8th notes. 1 and 2 and we swung it. We swung that first one. The first of those 3 bass drum hits. You're going to leave it as late as you dare. We then added 4 E and, one extra note on E at the end of the bar, and we swung it. So 1 and 2 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and. We then added the open hi-hat on beat 1, like Aerosmith. And then we added an additional open hi-hat on the and of beat 3. 1 and 2 and 3 Absolutely gorgeous groove. So I'll play it slow and work it up a little bit. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and. I'll do it again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, working up a little bit. And it's always fine when you're working grooves up. I always think go a bit faster than full speed for the tune as well, if you can. Just to know that you've then got that in your locker, do you know what I mean? When you're playing it with the music, it starts to sound a bit like a New Jack Swing type of groove, doesn't it? When you get faster, which I've also got a video about. I'll link to that in the description below as well. So that's that. As I say, that's the main groove. I know there are variations on that. There's a really cool moment at the start on the drum fill. There's various changes to that as it goes, but that is, I feel like that's home base. That's the kind of core groove, and everything's a sort of variation on that. Lovely feel, and I love it. I'm always seduced by when there's a straight 8s feel with that lovely, subtle, swinging 16th note pulse. There aren't that many 16th notes in there. Well, there's only 2, aren't there? Where we need to apply the swing. So it's really cool. It's just enough to give it that feel. Just to compare it one last time, I'll play it dead straight. Now I'll swing it. Just suddenly takes it into a different world, doesn't it? The straight is great, of course, in its place. Of course, a lot of the time that is the right decision to play all the 16th straight, but in this case, it just feels great, doesn't it? Really, really cool. So that was Stan Lynch. I think this was the last, or one of the very last things he recorded, as I understand it, before Steve Ferrone then came in, and he's the drummer I guess most associate with this band. And gorgeous groove. So I would say people always ask like, what grade level is this at? I know I've set that question up by saying it a lot in these videos, but 3, 4, or 5, I reckon, is the answer. Yeah. If you're not at that point and you haven't been playing the drums for solidly a couple of years or so and really, working on a practice plan and, developing especially the bass drum skill, that could potentially be pretty challenging. There's nothing wrong with you if it doesn't happen straight away. That is, that's proper. It's a serious groove with some nuance and subtlety to it. So don't lose any sleep if you're not there with that yet. If you are, awesome, enjoy it. And shout out to Nick. Like I say, he's playing that song. I'll do a full playthrough soon. Thanks for watching as always. Really appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to become a channel member like Nick, get a practice plan, complimentary Zoom session, ongoing drum support, members videos, notation, and practice along versions for the videos that I put up here. Details and sign up in the description below. Thanks to all the lovely people who buy me a coffee. Appreciate that so much. If you found these videos useful or helpful or feel positive about them and you're in a position to and you would like to support this channel, please consider either buying me a coffee, so to speak, at Buy Me a Coffee, or becoming a channel member on the same page. Details below. Thanks a million. Shout out to Nick. See you soon. Cheers.